Good morning. It's Wednesday, so it's time for another Wake Up Wednesday. This is the first week of the month, so we're going to cover a topic under our cornerstone of nourishment. So a question that we get asked a lot in different iterations is about carbohydrates and sugar. And so the question came to me in the last week, is it true that bread turns into sugar in your body? And then does it matter if it's white or wheat or whatever? And then what about other things like pasta and stuff like that? So I'm drawing for you. I'm going to inform you. Now, if you are a biochemist, this is a very rudimentary explanation. We're not trying to be like in master's chemistry or anything like that, but I want to give you a really basic understanding of what happens in your body. So these are your monosaccharides. So a monosaccharide is the simplest form of sugar. They all have the same chemical equation. So C6H12O6. But you can see that they look different ways. You have fructose, glucose, and galactose. But they're all C6H12O6. This is the simplest molecule of sugar that your body recognizes and takes in. Now, these serve different purposes in the body. So glucose is the main fuel source for the brain and the muscles. Fructose is preferential in the liver. You see what I'm saying? So they have different things that they do in your body. Even though they're all simple sugars, they all have the same chemical compound. The shape is recognized differently in the body. Okay, so for our purposes, we're just going to call a simple sugar CHO, and we're going to draw a square around it. Okay, so this is a simple sugar, like table sugar or something like that. But what about something more complex, another carbohydrate? So carbohydrates are just strings of these sugars in different shapes. Okay, so CHO, CHO, CHO. So all these simple sugars combined together, the chain can get very long and complex, the chain can bend, it can go all different directions. They're all just different versions of a complex carbohydrate. So the question is, does bread turn to sugar in the body? The answer is yes and no. So it doesn't turn to sugar like you eat it and magically it becomes like table sugar in your body in that sense. But in the end, all carbohydrates come down and they must be cleaved. So even complex carbohydrates, the body cleaves those carbohydrates until they're down to their simplest form, a single sugar molecule. And it has to be one of those monosaccharides. Now it could be any one of them depending on whether you're eating an apple or a sweet potato or a piece of bread or even frankly a cake, something like that, pasta. All of your carbohydrates are just chains of these simple sugars, and then they're cleaved in different points in the body. So, for example, your salivary glands produce saliva. That's the first cleaving of any carbohydrate. Now, if it's a simple sugar, just one of those CHOs, it's literally pretty much broken down the second it enters your mouth and makes contact with the salivary amylase. But if it's more complex, that salivary amylase makes just like one cleave, and then when it gets further down into your stomach, the acid does more cleaving, and then it gets into your small intestine, and you finally get to the smallest, most simplest form. So, does bread turn to sugar in the body? Yes, in the sense that it turns into monosaccharides, as does a sweet potato or an apple or any carbohydrate that you take in. No, in that it doesn't turn into just like table sugar. It's really important to note in your diet, though, that since all carbohydrates essentially get broken down to the simplest sugar, they all elevate the blood sugar in your body. They all can contribute to blood sugar dysregulation and things like that. That is why oftentimes a vegan diet can still not produce the results that you want because of the limited fat and protein. The entire diet essentially is made of carbohydrates. So though a complex carbohydrate takes longer to do that process, it does still essentially get down to that monosaccharide in your body. All right, that's our little science tidbit. I hope you feel like Bill Nye the Science Guy today. Hope that helped you. If you have further questions, please post them in the comments. I'm happy to go more in depth on this if it's something that interests you. I tried to keep it pretty simple. The biochemists everywhere are probably wanting to slit my throat, but for your purposes, that should do. You should get the answer that you're looking for. All right, have a great Wednesday.